Welcome to the Breakthrough the Bullshit podcast. I am your host, Alice Round. I am pumped to have you here. We are going to really strip back all of the bullshit surrounding nutrition, training, fad diets, everything in the industry so that we can give you education to get the best possible results. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and let's go through all this bullshit. Welcome back to another episode, and today I have a special guest with me. He has been on the podcast before. We had some really positive feedback from the last time he was on. Now, I do want to preface this by saying I am myself a little bit under the weather, so I apologize. If there's any coughing, we'll try to cut it out. But I wanted to make sure that I got this content to you today. So I'll really let my guest do most of the talking today, kind of hand the reins over and be the one just mainly asking the questions. So I really appreciate you guys in your patience with the podcast, but I have been a little bit unwell the past couple of weeks. So we are back into it, and we have my special guest on today, Sean Mclaney from Mclaney Train. And the reason that I've got him on today, he was on a podcast we did on digestion, and I've got Sean back because we are doing the science of gains today. The science of how you make gains. We are talking natural gains today. So anyone that's tuned in hoping for advice on non-natural gains, I'm sorry, but that is not what we were talking about. The reason I got Sean on is because he's a very experienced and natural bodybuilder. So obviously he's put on gains naturally. I'm going to get Sean to tell you a little bit about his story today because he hasn't always been someone that's been big. He was actually very skinny his whole upbringing. I'll let him talk about that a little bit. But that's the reason I've got him on. We're both people that genetically weren't blessed, I guess, with a lot of muscle mass to begin with. I probably put on muscle a lot easier than what Sean did. But we will be also sharing some of the tips that will help you put on natural amounts of lean mass. And obviously everyone wants to know, how do you stay lean and how do you put on gains? Well, we're going to talk about all those questions today, bust some of the myths around that. So, long-winded intro. I think my voice is officially cut. So I'll hand over to you, Sean. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello. So, give us your story. When were you a skinny faggot?
Actually not that long. Well, I feel like a skinny faggot right now. Does it count if I'm still skinny?
You're not skinny. He's currently dieting for a show, but definitely not skinny at the moment.
Feel skinny.
So tell me about, I guess, where you were, say, when you were, teenage years through to like kind of your 20s, when you started lifting, how old you are now, kind of all of that, so they get a bit of a summary.
Okay. I suppose it all comes down to upbringing and my terrible choice of sports when I was a kid. I think this is a sob story. When my parents divorced, and I was born in Germany, and my dad was in the army. So when they divorced and we moved to England, it was pretty much just my mum and myself and my brother. And money-wise, not a lot of money. So food-wise, not a lot of food. So both
potato diet.
Yeah, potatoes. Hey, work for that dude. Food-wise, not a lot of food. So both my brother and I were quite sort of the smaller end of the spectrum, skinny people. But we played a shitload of sport.
You did have ADD.
I did have ADHD, yeah. I still kind of do, and I have to watch my food colouring intake. That's why branch changes are a bit iffy with me. But so we played every single sport, but the sports, like I literally played everything. So football, or what do we call it, soccer here.
Yeah, it's not real football,
yes.
really.
Why? It's an actual foot and a ball.
It's another debate for another day.
It's the highest rate of foot and ball in any sport.
It's less manly than AFL, let's put it that way.
I'll give you that, yeah. There's a lot of diving and
a lot of fake diving. There's not real tackling.
I was shit at football anyway. I just got picked because I was left-footed.
So basically cardio.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I did play rugby. I actually quite enjoyed rugby. Rugby's probably one of my... And rugby was rugby union, not rugby league. But then I got to like 18 and I was still looking like a 12-year-old and everyone else was fucking massive, so gave that one up. But best sport was cricket.
So masculine.
Lots of gains in cricket. Played that for a long time, played that to a very high level. That's what unfortunately caused my imbalance in my lats. That's been the bane of my life and my bodybuilding stuff. But other ones that I did, actually it's quite good for your physique, but is gymnastics and trampolining and all that sort of stuff like that. But I didn't have the food to put on the muscle that's needed for those.
So a skinny
So
gymnast.
a very skinny gymnast. And then I thought, okay, I'm doing all these really shit sports, so I need to get into one that's slightly manly, so I took up boxing. Boxing I wasn't too bad at. I did enjoy breaking my nose, broke it 7 times. But I used to box in the under 57s. So
57 kilos.
57 kilos, yeah.
I hope that's not
So
pounds.
it's not pounds, no. So any American listeners.
So that is almost my stage weight.
Yeah. So and I boxed until I was
How
about
tall are you for the listeners?
5'9".
So
on a
5'9",
good day.
57 kilos. Just grasp that.
Yeah.
Sean, at what age?
23.
Oh dear.
That's why I love
You
these.
realise at 23 that I weighed more than that?
Yeah, sure.
I was
I could have beaten you up though.
Actually, no. To be fair,
Maybe.
listeners, if you're listening, when I was 23, I think that was about around the time I did my first comp, and I was on stage shredded at about 49, 50 kilos.
Yeah, I wasn't shredded.
You had abs,
Had
though.
abs,
yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah, you were skinny fat with abs.
I had an inverted chest. My abs were bigger than my chest. Love training abs.
Kind of like your rib cage
Great.
bigger than your chest too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So as you guys can see, like we're both, I guess more so Sean than me. I probably am lucky that I'm a bit more, I guess, athletically inclined, you'd call it, in terms of putting on muscle. But this is the thing we want to talk about today. Does it come down to that, or does it come down to the fact that Sean just wasn't eating enough as a child?
Exactly.
Like, and this is the thing you've got to look at. Like for me, I guess my upbringing, very similar in terms of playing every single sport under the sun. My main sports were running, so sprinting, and also netball and basketball were the big ones. So I guess I played sports that were a bit more explosive. I guess you got to generate a little bit more maybe muscle turnover from sprinting, rather than say if I did marathon running, it might be different. But definitely we both didn't play sports growing up that technically on paper would tell you to put on muscle mass, not resistance based. Gymnastics more so, yes, but again, if you're not eating enough calories to support that, then nothing's going to happen. I was a bit similar to Sean in the sense that we didn't grow up with a lot of money, but my parents still probably had the coin at least that I was probably consuming protein. I ate a fair bit of chicken. I didn't eat red meat, but I'm guessing for you, Sean, did you get to eat much protein as a child? Was it too expensive?
Really. It was mainly like rice and potatoes and pasta.
Yeah, we still had like eggs and chicken, but I just didn't like red meat. But I think that that's a big part of it. Like the people need to understand that it's not so much like your diet is such a big part of putting on muscle, and that's kind of what we're going to go into today, because I would say like one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, especially guys, actually girls are probably getting worse with it because girls are now wanting to put on muscle. Whereas back in the day, no one wanted to be put on muscle. That skinny was in when I was growing up. Yeah. So I think the biggest mistake that when guys or girls come to me and say that they're not making any gains in the gym is that their training's fine often. It's not usually the training. They're often sometimes even training too much, but they're not eating enough.
Yeah.
So I guess for you, let's go back to your story a little bit. I guess what kind of happened? So what age you were? 23, boxing, playing a bit of cricket, 57 kilos. So what do you weigh now?
Well, I'm dieting, so I'm just sitting around 90.
So 90 kilos lean-ish. Like we got a DEXA done the other day, 12% on a DEXA, which is pretty darn lean. Like that would be kind of, and weight that you could potentially maintain year round, I would
easy,
say.
yeah.
So let's think about it from that perspective. 57 to 90 kilos natural, because that's obviously something that you guys are all going to be thinking. Sean has never touched any substances in his entire life and is scared of even taking cold and flu.
Bit of creatine.
So yes, good old creatine cycle where you tell them about that. So I guess, what the fuck happened? How did you get from 23 and 57 kilos? What was the brief story after that?
Well, I became a PT. I was at uni, and basically I wanted to be the most qualified person.
What were you studying?
Sports science. And it was, you could see that, and you speak to people coming out of uni, when they come out of just a sports science degree, there's almost too many avenues to go down. So I just
not enough jobs.
And not enough jobs, yeah. So I wanted to just get every qualification you could think of. So I did every sports coaching qualification. I did my PT certs. I did all sorts of shit. And Yeah, so I wasn't even into the gym at all. Like when I went to the gym, I used to train abs and use the cardio equipment just
Abs and
because
cardio.
I wanted to be better at my cricket. Because I was quite unfit for someone that's quite small.
You're like, but I need to do more cardio.
But I need to do it, yeah. So, and I used to think that bodybuilding was just gay. You know, there's a couple.
I did too.
Oh, there's a couple of people at the gym, at the uni gym, and it was just like, ugh, I'm just not into that. But as a personal trainer, when I got into it, no one wanted to train with me because I was so scrawny and skinny. And what am I going to do? Push a couple of buttons for them on the treadmill?
I honestly think people would rather train with someone, a PT that's a little bit, as a guy, a little bit fatter but big with gains. Whereas I think for girls, it's the opposite. They wouldn't want to train with a girl that's big and maybe strong. They'd rather train with someone that's skinnier.
Yeah, it's true.
I think it comes down to the person, though, what their goal is. So if your goal is more aligned with that, the way that trainer looks, but for you, you obviously want to train guys, and like, what guy's going to want to train with someone that weighs the same as a chick?
Absolutely no one. I don't even think I had a male client for the first 6 months.
Girls are like, "Oh, you look skinny. I can look at you.
I could beat you up." Yeah, so I just changed my ethos and I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to have to give up any excessive cardio and start stacking on some muscle. And I'd say the biggest thing for me was when I went on the cruise ships and I was a PT on there for a year, because your job is to pretty much train all day long. You do classes and all that sort of stuff, which is a lot of cardio, but it was the high resistance spin classes, so starting to put some actual stuff into my legs. And I trained with weights twice a day because I had the time to, and you pretty much had a buffet at your disposal all day long. So
did you know anything about like calories or macros at this point?
No, wasn't into that. It was literally just, I knew I had to eat protein. I think as a newbie personal trainer, even though I had a sports science degree, you don't know that much. I mean, I know what
sports science doesn't set you up to understand macronutrients and what you actually require. Well, unless you're doing additional nutritional units, but still, even then, it's very basic.
I think it doesn't tell you how it's contextual.
I remember it told me at uni that my protein intake was 64 grams a day.
Yeah,
and I was
56 grams minimum. Sorry, 56 grams maximum WHO, isn't it? I think, so it's... But, so I was just eating. Like, it was... you get up at 6 a.m. and you finish your day at 9 p.m. You've got 3 or 4 classes in there, and... because you're pretty bored through the day, I used to just train with the weights twice a day. So I used to just get off in Miami and buy like a big 20 kilo dog food bag of good old Optimum Nutrition. Yeah, dog food. Yeah, actually dog food. Yeah, it's high in protein and fat of the Optimum Nutrition whey, gold standard, because it was cheap and protein at that point in my brain. Protein was protein. Yeah. So, and I used to buy about 5 kilos of nuts as well. Just the calorie density. So I remember working
You're
out.
You're pretty much keto.
Bro, I wouldn't go that far. There was a lot of croissants and shit like that in there, a lot of cereal. But I remember working out, and it was roughly up to 10,000 calories a day.
So just get that in your head for a second. There's all these fags on the internet, on YouTube, doing 10,000 calorie challenges. Yeah. I say that in the nicest possible way. And Sean was probably eating that every single day for how long?
A year.
A year, okay? A year on 10,000 calories. So what did you get off the ships? What was your weight when you left?
87.
And how fat were you comparative to what you were when you started?
Probably leaner. So it was bigger and leaner.
For anyone listening, they're going to be like, how the hell does that happen? And why does that not happen for me? Okay, so we need to go into this because I don't want people to think that... So how many kilos is that, roughly? 30 kilos in a year of muscle, and we're saying predominantly, even if 25 kilos that was muscle, that is a lot in a year. And then since then, how much muscle mass have you put on? So how old were you when you got off for a start? Let's paint this picture out.
I'd be 24, 25.
Okay, so you're 33 now?
32.
Sorry, 32. I should know that. So it's been, what, 6, 8 years?
Yeah.
8 years, and how much are you now? Say a similar body fat percentage.
Not a great deal heavier, which is really
So you're 87 now, and you're probably about the same percent, maybe 12, maybe you're a little bit softer then?
I think it comes down to, I mean, if you're just going to go with numbers, I would say I'm a couple of kilos heavier and maybe a tiny bit leaner.
Okay, so let's say, for example, in that last 8 years, you've only put on about 4 or 5 kilos of muscle. Yeah. So can you explain to people why the fuck that happened?
It's not because I'm lazy. If anything, I'm a lot more intelligent about it all now. My nutrition's on point. My
probably can't afford
training,
10,000
yeah,
calories.
can't afford 10,000 calories. Yeah. Well, what was I on the last? I was on 6.5.
And you probably don't have time to train twice a day.
No.
Weight wise, anyway. Yeah.
So I think it like if you look at the difference with natural gains is you can speak to some of the bodybuilders. There's a really good bodybuilder, Peter Hartwig. He trains naturally, competes in IFBB, and he's an absolute beast. And he says that his weight doesn't go up year after year after year, but he looks 2 kilos heavier every single year. And that just comes down to muscle density.
And probably being leaner, more conditioned.
Yeah, you get a little bit leaner, you get a little bit more dense on the muscle fibers and stuff like that. But I mean, it's what we call newbie gains. So
Yeah.
it's the first year of your training, you're literally a sponge.
Especially as a guy, when you're hitting your testosterone levels are increasing.
I was 23 and
it
I
won't happen as
very
quickly
high
for
testosterone
girls
anyway. No.
unless you got testosterone through there. But
You
what
can.
chick would want to put on 20 kilos of muscle in a year? Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. I've never really tried. I've never had a chick that's like, make me fucking massive.
Yeah.
I'd
I want to
love
be a
that.
physique
Yeah,
competitor.
I want to be fucking huge. But yeah, newbie gains. So you're an empty sponge that's just waiting to grow. But that's my body type.
Yeah.
But so for me, it was I had obviously had. I like to assume that I was like predominantly ectomorphic as a kid, so very skinny,
Yeah,
straight
even
up
though
and
we've talked about this
down.
before, we're not really a massive fan of those titles
No.
being so rigid. Because
It's too
your
flexible.
genotype's going to change.
Yeah, but all the characteristics of me now is a mesomorph, like
Yeah.
in terms of my wrist circumference. I can't touch my finger and thumb, like even close. So that kind of, or it doesn't disprove it, but it just says how flexible somatotypes and
Exactly.
stuff are.
Like, I reckon I've been a meso my whole life, but I reckon dieting messed me up to become, like, more meso-endo.
Endo,
Yeah, gain fat
Yeah.
a lot easier than what I used to.
Yeah. But yeah, I think just it comes back to nature and nurture. I think because I was probably born with the ability to add muscle, but didn't have the food as a kid.
Cardio.
If I had too much fucking cardio. I think maybe it would be interesting if, as a kid, if I'd had the food, how much different it
You
would
could have
have
been like Phil Heath.
Thanks, Mum.
Thanks for being
Jesus.
poor, Mum.
Jeez, why didn't you have 4 jobs and not 3?
Why didn't you have one
Lazy.
kid, not 2?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Here's
Thanks,
Stuart.
Fucking negating my gains, brother.
So I guess let's put some more realistic numbers in these people's heads, because if you're listening to this and you're going, either you're a chick and you're going, well, I don't want to put on 20 kilos in a year, is that what's going to happen if I go to the gym in my first year? Or if you're a guy, so I'll talk, I guess, more from the female's perspective, and then Sean will talk from the guy. So realistic numbers when it comes to putting on muscle mass. All right, it comes down to a couple of things. It comes down to how easily you gain fat. So that can come down to your metabolic position. That's the same for guys and girls. So if you're someone that has dieted a lot before, been on ultra low calories, done heaps and heaps of training already, and you're in a pretty crappy metabolic position, but now you're wanting to put on muscle and you've also got a bit of extra body fat, that's going to be a harder position to be in, because we need to actually potentially get your body fat down first and then go into a phase. You can do it 2 ways. You can do it that way, or you can keep increasing calories but being okay with the fact that you're going to have fat there, which a lot of girls won't like doing.
As long as you don't have more fat.
Exactly.
Like,
a lot of
more
fat won't actually optimize your fat loss. There's a point at which you can get so fat that it actually doesn't help facilitate muscle growth, because your body's not that efficient in a really unhealthy fatty state. So, okay, let's say, for example, we've got someone that's more of a newbie. They're reasonably healthy. Maybe you're more like me, as I was a teenager. So I kind of went into the gym about 18, 19. I wasn't skinny. I wasn't muscly. I wasn't super, super lean. I wasn't fat. I was just kind of average Joe. I was probably maybe just slightly leaner than your average female. Okay, so going in there, I think my goal wasn't specifically muscle growth. So my goal was more athletic performance. The first things I ever did in the gym actually were deadlifts, lunges. I remember my first ever training program. Deadlifts, lunges, with horrible form of my deadlifts, all lower back. I had some dumbbell running arms I had to do because it was running specific, so they were fine. That was pretty much biceps. I had bench press, and I had some abs, and that was pretty much it. Oh, and I had some power cleans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was my athletics training program. And so obviously the goal with something like that is sport specific. The goal isn't to chunk on muscle mass. But for example, if I had a girl that was going into the gym and a newbie in their first year of training, I would expect if they were eating enough calories for them to gain anywhere up to 5 kilos of muscle mass in a year, I would say. And I spoke to Lane about this. Yeah, starting Newbie Gains. He's had a female client, this is Lane Norton, who I think he said gained 8 kilos in the first year. But she was okay with the calories. She was getting the calories in. Whereas a lot of girls are scared to either eat the calories or they struggle to consume them. Because to put on that sort of muscle mass, if you're training hypertrophy, say 5 days a week, which would be optimal for muscle growth at that level, 4 to 5 big sessions a week, you're probably going to need to be consuming 2,000 to 3,000 calories.
Yep.
Even maybe more if you're taller or, you know.
If you're younger and you're still growing.
Exactly, yeah. So a lot of girls can't fathom the fact that they have to eat 3,000 calories for a year to put on muscle. But that's talking upper end. So even if you're looking at putting on 2 kilos of muscle in a year as a newbie, you're probably still going to need to be consuming at least 2,000 calories a day, if not a bit more, and not then overdoing cardio, not overdoing all these other things, not being stressed in your life. All of these things will affect muscle growth. But as a regular ongoing amount for females, again, if you're in a caloric surplus, remember, you need to remember that, because a lot of girls will say, oh, I only put on 0.5 kilo of muscle in a year, and this comes back to competitors as well. And then you look at them and you explain to them, well, you were dieting for a show for 6 months of your year. You really had 6 months to grow. You didn't have a year to grow. So take out all the time you were ever in a deficit or you didn't hit your calories, plus your reverse diet. Then you can factor in the amount of time you've actually had growing. So I would say if you're in a caloric surplus for a year, as a maintenance ongoing amount of muscle mass that you're putting on, anywhere from 0.5 kilo to max 2 kilos for a girl, I would say, if your testosterone levels are good, if all of that's healthy, maybe a bit more. For me, the biggest amount of muscle growth I've ever had was when I stopped being in a deficit from competing. So I stopped competing, I had 2-3 years off. My testosterone was actually very high, and I probably unintentionally gained about 5 kilos of muscle mass in probably about 2 years.
Unintentionally?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I know.
Oh, whoops.
And I was probably
Got
eating
some
about,
gains.
I don't know, 2,000 to 2,500 on that. And yeah, that just happened because I'd been in a deficit for 2.5 years competing. So it was finally like food, hormones are healthy again, train, and and obviously a good hypertrophy program comparative to where I was before.
It comes back to that empty sponge.
Exactly. My body was in a good position where it actually wanted to grow again because it was healthy. And I didn't actually want that much muscle, but that's what kind of happened. So I guess from a male perspective, you go through it.
I think men obviously is just more exaggerated. You know, like the difference is we have testosterone. So testosterone is just a wonderful hormone that makes you predisposed to be a lot bigger and get a lot more results than a female. I think your thing as well is the reason why you unintentionally put on 5 kilos is you have higher testosterone levels, don't you? So
for a girl, yes.
For a girl, yeah.
And I also train like a fucking beast.
Yeah, oh, exactly. Yeah, she said she does. Apparently. But yeah, guys, it can be bigger. I mean, look at mine. I mean, I put on 25, 30 kilos in that 1 year. But, I mean, it's disgusting. You have to eat 10,000 calories. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, is it is food.
It's almost how much training you can push in, how much volume your body can do before it breaks.
Yeah.
And then also how much food can you ingest to allow for recovery and growth and everything.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, is like if you're, I mean, you can go full scientific and you can work with MRV, maximum recoverable volume. If you have a very low MRV, then you can train 3 or 4 days a week. I've still grown doing 3 days a week.
Definitely. And that suits some clients better than others.
Yeah, but you just drop your calories down. If you're someone that, you might just enjoy... I like now training 5 days a week. I don't like training 6 days a week.
Is a bit much. I
break.
like 5, yeah.
So I have to eat enough food to be able to train 5 days a week.
Yeah.
4, you feel like you're being a bit... I feel like I'm being a bit lazy.
Yeah.
But in terms of like...
I think when I met you were doing 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think 4, when in my intermittent fasting days.
Yeah.
It was great.
We'll leave that for another podcast.
Yeah, exactly, that's a big one. But I think guys, you can have huge... The first 1 to 2 years, I think it's more 1 year. I think 2 years is if you've just kind of been a bit lazy and drawn it out. But like
or you're not eating enough.
Or you're not eating enough, yeah. But that first year, I mean, I had an Indian or Sri Lankan, client. He came to me very malnourished, same height as me, 5'9". He was 42 kilos,
Right.
And in 6 months, he was 62 kilos. So he put on 20 kilos of good, solid gains. He wasn't fat or anything.
Didn't you have him on a milk diet?
Yeah. He had nothing but chocolate milk pretty much all day long because he couldn't eat very much. Stereotypical Sri Lankan Indian person, lots of rice. So shitloads of carbs. Moderate protein, but then he was smashing back the chocolate milks for the just calories, fats,
Protein and
carbs.
yeah.
Some of chocolate milks, 60 grams of carbs, 20 grams of protein.
I think that's how I got my gains at high school. I was having
Milk.
one of those days.
Chocolate milk, a chalky milk.
With my $2 for the canteen.
Yeah, well, if weight is what you want to do, which is that first year as a guy, and that's the difference in guys and girls. As guys, it's like, fuck it, just make me massive. I have so many people saying that to me, whereas girls, not so much.
And I think it's the difference you see with guys and girls when they come out of high school, because guys go hit the gym, girls are scared of weights, and all they do is cardio, and then they get fat.
And become vegetarians.
Yeah, and then guys are like, oh, I've got all these new gains, and I'm actually like looking like a man, and chicks are like, I've just gained so much weight coming out of high school. Because I don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, that's why there's so many bloody 16-year-olds who are mammoths these days.
You're like, damn
crazy. And that just comes back to, I think, education these days. Like 10, 15 years ago, no one gave a shit about this sort of stuff. Yeah.
No, the gym was just like cardio and abs, or like you would do it if you were an athlete and it was an accessory to your training. Like they were the only reasons. Like the only reason I got into the gym was because they said I had to do it to get stronger for my running. Otherwise I wouldn't have gone. I never thought about shaping my body. But
if you think about your training plan that you just said, that's all very sport specific. Yeah. All of those exercises are very looking at one energy system.
Yeah, no, fucking horrible. They were not sport specific for my injuries. It was actually why I got into studying sports science, because I got this weight training program. No one explained to me how to do it. I kept tearing my hamstring, and then none of my program had any hamstring in it. There was no posterior chain. Deadlifts, but I wasn't doing them properly, so I was doing them with my lower back, not my hamstrings. No one was showing me how to do them. And this is where it comes back to, when you're starting out, investing in coaching. Like, the best thing that I could recommend for people, if they are not confident going into the gym as a newbie, they don't know where to start, they don't know what to do, anything, spend your money on a local personal trainer. 100%. Even a lot of people email me and say, with Sean, and they want to work with us online. I really like my newbies to actually have a PT, even if they're not coming to me, because I'm not really doing PT these days, but I would recommend they go to someone locally and take my program with them and go through it with the trainer. You know, have someone oversee it, and then that trainer can feed back to me and be like, hey, they're not quite ready for this, or like, you know, this is a bit tricky for them, or film it. Because the problem is, if you go in and start off on a bad foot, it's going to give you a bad taste for the gym straight up. You're going to get an injury, something's going to happen, and you're going to hate it. And yeah, you're going to get off to the wrong start. For me, obviously that motivated me more to get educated, but for a lot of other people that would be quite scary. Imagine going in and you see girls on Instagram deadlifting 150, and then you go in and put 50 on the bar and snap your back. Like,
I don't think I deadlifted for like 2, I don't know, I'd say it's at least a year.
I did a lot of heavy back deadlifts. Yeah. But, you know, like I was deadlifting, I'm trying to think of numbers back then. I think it was only 40 or 50 kilos with horrible form. Horrible form. Yeah, exactly. So I guess, the biggest things, I guess, going back to that. So we're going to get into some actual questions. I want to get into a bit more science now that you know kind of, I guess, our stories. But basically, I want just to run through, what is the actual science of muscle growth? Obviously, muscle growth is a form of hypertrophy, hypertrophy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Hypertrophy, if you're American. So that is, if you ever hear that word, clients have it. I write it on plans, and clients like, what's hypertrophy work? And I'm like, that's what you're doing. Yeah. So don't worry about that if you're a client listening to this. Doesn't matter. It just means gains, okay? So at the end of the day, there is sort of scientific rep ranges that we go into at university, and you'll read all the time on boring bro forums that will say strength is 1 to 5 and hypertrophy is 6 to 12 and what's the last one? Endurance is 15 plus reps. That, I would forget that for the time being. We're going to go into that in a little bit more depth, but why it's not really the be all and end all, and that you really need to take that with a grain of salt. So I guess from more of a muscular and like physiological perspective, what actually happens when you're trying to put on muscle?
Well, there's 2 types of hypertrophy. We say hypertrophy in England.
We say hypertrophy.
But you say hypertrophy over here. Hypertrophy. It just sounds weird.
Just roll with it. You're Australian.
Yeah. Well, I'm not Australian. But there's two types of hypertrophy that you need to kind of take into consideration if you're looking at a balanced physique. If you're looking at sport-specific hypertrophy and you're looking to...
Then those rep ranges are more important.
Yeah, and it's very different because you can manipulate... Like, for example, a powerlifter who wants to stay in a weight division, doesn't want to get any bigger, is not going to do one of the forms of hypertrophy, or not as much, and he's going to kind of focus more on the other. So you basically have myofibrillar hypertrophy and you have sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. And sarcoplasmic basically just means cellular swelling, so the fluid inside the muscle, which is basically a shitload of, in a nutshell, a shitload of sugary water. Let's just say lots of carbs, lots of water. There's lots of other things as well, like capillaries and mitochondria and all that sort of stuff like that. But you're trying to basically, with sarcoplasmic is cellular swelling. So you're trying to increase the cross-sectional area of that muscle through higher rep training. So that's your bro stuff, your 6 to 12s in theory. If you're a powerlifter trying to stay in a certain weight division, then you don't want to do too much of that because you will get bigger and heavier. That's more for people that are looking to just be massive. So in terms of sport specific, if you're a rugby player and you want to be bigger and heavier, then you do a lot of sarcoplasmic training. If you're that powerlifter trying to stay in the weightlifting division of their choice, then you'll focus more on myofibrillar, which is basically contractile, increasing the density of contractile proteins. So you're training the sort of 1 to 5, 1 to 6 rep ranges. You're working on your central nervous system, neuromuscular adaptations, muscular cueing and firing, basically lots of heavy weights, lots of lower rep ranges, and lots of sets. So like ollie lifters, weightlifters, powerlifters, sprinters as well can stay in there. I
never did anything over like 8 reps.
And that's what I mean. Like I
like 4 reps for cleans, 3 for deadlifts.
So it's a lot of myofibrillar because you don't want to be heavier.
No, it's fast, explosive.
And I think myofibrillar as well is about efficiency of muscle contractions. So it's short and sharp, fast, explosive power stuff.
The only high rep stuff we did was more like ab work, some glute activation stuff, and more like plyometrics. So explosive speed and power.
Even plyometrics though can still be myofibrillar.
Yeah.
Can stay in the low rep ranges. In fact, when I do plyos, I like it lower. But these days, plyos seem to be a lot higher rep ranges because you can use it to burn a shitload of calories as well.
We focus more on, we call it like touch time. So you count your reps as your touch time. And you do it in wave cycles, so it'll be periodized. So you do a block where it's 50 and 100, 150, 200. So obviously there was a method behind it that's more structured, whereas when people today just go do plyos, they don't know. Usually it's for fat loss.
Well, yeah, I think
it's not usually for
CrossFit's
athletics.
kind of changed plyos.
Yeah, exactly. But, all right, sorry, I'll keep interrupting you.
But I think the thing where people go wrong with hypertrophy is we're talking about the science of gains here, so without going too much into sport specific, is they don't hit both. So they don't hit myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic. Like if you look, and this is my thing, is anecdotally, if you look around the gym, sometimes you see these big fluidy, there's some big dudes, but they're kind of that fluidy, watery, squidgy looking muscle who, even though they're big, are not very strong. So they will tend to just love those sarcoplasmic rep ranges. So your 6 to 12s, they don't really go much over that. They don't really go much under that. So they're kind of averagely strong. So that's what a lot of people call unfunctional muscle. You know, it looks good, but it's not very functional.
Well, it's like, you can't imagine someone like Phil Heath or Ronnie Coleman going and doing some sprints.
Oh, that's exactly it, you know.
You'll see not many of the, you won't hear from many of the big bodybuilders doing HIIT training.
No.
Because they just couldn't do it functionally. I know BPAC, so Ben Pekulski obviously does a lot on bikes. So and for me, if I have a client who's big, not overweight, but just big, they've got big joints, a lot of weight. Even Sean, at the start of his prep, I didn't have him running at the start of his prep.
Oh, no.
I had him doing his HIIT on an assault bike or a spin bike, And now he's at the point where he's a bit lighter. His joints are more mobile. His biomechanics looks better when he walks. He's got less chafing. He can now sprint with and be pain free. But someone huge, it's just not going to work. This is why they have to do 2 hours of cardio a day, because they can't do the intensity that a 20-minute HIIT session would produce.
Yeah, low and slow.
Yeah.
And that's true, but it's that if you just do sarcoplasmic, what I've found over the years as a personal trainer and a coach is, as soon as it comes to dieting, because you've just been working on cellular swelling, and what that cellular swelling is one, it's inflammation. Two, it's a lot of carbs and water going into the muscle. As soon as you drop your carbs down, you start losing muscle. So you don't have the muscle density to maintain that muscle because you've had to drop your carbs down. So if you're one of these zealots that love keto and you're about to chop out all of your carbs to diet, fuck me, you're in for a shock when it comes to becoming lean.
You're gonna get skinny.
So that's why you have to do both. So there's some people like there's no 100% right and 100% wrong. There's PhD so doctors in physiology and strength conditioning that argue with each other about what is the perfect way of gains. But if you combine the two, so you do your heavy stuff and your moderate rep range sarcoplasmic, then you're going to build some nice dense muscle with the cellular swelling as well.
Yeah.
I know that personally I hit a massive plateau about 82 kilos. So I came off the ships and dieted down a little bit, and I was about 82 kilos, and I just couldn't get any heavier because on the ships they only have up to 50 pound dumbbells. That's 22.5 kilos. So that's, what the fuck's that? We used to do like 50 reps on bench press. So I couldn't get any bigger. And what got me bigger was getting into powerlifting.
Yeah.
And it was just that, again, I was just an empty sponge for that new stimulus and that rep range. So that was me building up my fibrillary.
That's how I got big. I was doing that couple of years of powerlifting.
Because you hadn't really you trained heavy, but for you,
properly.
We're kind of similar, that we're very good in the kind of 6 to 10 rep range. We can smash out some decent weight for some decent reps. But we hadn't really trained super heavy.
Yeah, I'd never done like 1 to 3 or
no.
Yeah.
So in terms of that neuromuscular adaptations, mitochondrial proliferation and all that sort of stuff, you're gonna get a whole new world of gains. So for me, overnight I went from 82 to 95.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
And then it contradicts everything we were saying before about how a lot of powerlifters, so they don't get big, don't train. Like, they train in the low reps.
Yeah, but that was because we were combining the two.
Exactly, and that's the thing you have to understand.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like we're saying, in this whole podcast, it's tough because there's not one thing that's going to be the absolute answer. But from a coaching perspective, every client's going to be different, and different people respond better to different things. It also comes down to with training, I find, and Sean, you might be different with me, but I need to figure out what works for the client, because a lot of clients just fucking hate doing heavy stuff, or a lot of clients hate doing high reps. And I'm like, I'm not going to program just that if I don't think that you're actually going to do it properly. So it's got to be that fine line of like, almost like give them what they want, but also give them what they need, like to get a client a result.
Yeah, it depends. It comes down to, one, if you're someone that's just doing this for fun and wants to put on a little bit of muscle, or if you're someone that's like, make me a monster.
Yeah, then listen to your coach.
I fucking hate pull-ups.
Yeah.
But how good is a pull-up for back development?
It's because I put them, make Sean do them.
Yeah, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But I know that I need to do it, and I know that it's going to bring my back up, so I do them. If
I hate training glutes 4 times a week, but I do it.
Yeah, 4's an understatement as well. But I think if you need to do it, you need to do it. If a client loves to be in the 10 to 20 rep ranges, they're not going to get that many gains. So
and we're talking about gains here. Like, obviously, when I trained for strength for a few years, I didn't really care as much aesthetically about how my body looked. I only really did accessory work I knew I had injuries from the past that I wanted to make sure didn't come back. And I wanted to also just hold on to my ass a little bit. But other than that, I didn't really focus on like shoulders or back or like, so we're talking hypertrophy here. So I guess we just need to keep going back to that in the sense that we are talking about aesthetic qualities. We're talking about, you wanting to look a certain way, gain muscle to certain areas. So now I can't even remember where we're up to. You were talking about the science of it. So let's kind of wrap that up. So I guess what do you want to tell them as a summary of understanding that?
It hit all rep ranges. There is no, this is a hypertrophy rep range. Like I was listening to a podcast by Andrew Locke the other day. He's this monstrous PhD guy who knows all about it. And he says that we have to forget, as such, the rep ranges. There's no one magical rep range that's going to give you every single gains that you want. You have to hit them all. It's like when people ask me how the hell did I grow my calves, I the only thing I can tell them is this shit answer, and that's do everything.
Yeah.
If you do the heavy stuff, do the moderate stuff, and do 20-minute sets, do 1,000 rep session. You know, those
I think
sorts
the
of
other
things.
thing with rep ranges is a rep range is all well and good, but if you're not lifting enough weight for that desired rep range, what's the fucking point of sticking to the rep range? Like, for example, if I write 6 to 8 in a client's program, because I use rep ranges when I coach, obviously you have to, but I'll say to a client, I want you to go to fatigue of that 6 to 8.
Yeah.
So if you get to 6 and you feel like you could push 2 more out and get to your 8, your upper limit of your rep range, then do it. Push out 8. Or if you get to 8 and it's still too easy, do 9 and put more weight on the bar the next set. Like,
you haven't failed because you've done 9 reps.
Exactly.
And not 8.
You're not going to go, I lost my
endurance.
grade.
Yeah, I'm in endurance now. Fuck.
Exactly. So you have to take it with a grain of salt that rep ranges are there, but you need to understand intensity.
That's a big thing.
It's massive. Yeah. Massive,
I would actually say that's one
More
of the bigger
important.
things we're forgetting is it's all well and good giving someone rep ranges and all this sort
They
of
don't
stuff.
fucking train
But
hard.
if you don't train hard, you're screwed. Like, and I would honestly, that's where it comes back to what you said is get a PT session at least once a week. I think if I could work with someone on, my perfect client would be working on their nutrition, their programming, and one PT session.
Yeah, I
a
like
week.
that too. Yeah.
Just so they know, because you get it every time. Like, I'll get someone that I haven't trained for a while, and they'll come back, or a mate. I'll train with a mate, and they're like, "Fuck me, I need to, continue training to that level." I forget that I'm lazy in the gym, and that's how I need to be training.
So I guess some tips for that, if you can't afford a personal trainer, because I'm sure a lot of people can't, or can't afford a coach. My biggest tip to my clients, because a lot of my clients are online, they don't see me in the flesh, is especially my clients that I know that are lazy, because they get them to send me videos, and I'll be like, I want you to send me a video of an AMRAP. So I want you to do as many reps as you can on whatever, and I'll give them a target. Say for a girl, 60 kilos on a squat, and they'll send me a video and they do like 5 and they probably had 10 more in the tank. And I'll say, well, that is not how you should be training, because that's not an AMRAP, that's not to fatigue. The other one that I do is I get my clients to record their weights, whether that be on my program or in a separate diary, even using notes in your phone. That's what I do a lot of the time. So when you're in the gym, you're just keeping track, so that each week you go back in, you're trying to beat those numbers, and then you're progressively overloading. Obviously, there comes to a point where you're going to need a deload and all of that. But for the general gist of it, if you want to get bigger and you're eating enough calories, you should be getting stronger most weeks. You should be...
That's progressive overload.
Exactly. Especially, in a deficit, it's a bit different, but to the same extent, you shouldn't be losing a lot of strength in a deficit unless you're training differently. Like,
if you're in a deficit as well, though, you're losing body weight.
You might be losing a bit of muscle too.
So, but at the same time, if you're losing body weight but you stay just as strong, you can put that extra body weight on the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Chin-ups become easier when you're leaner.
I couldn't fucking do them 20 weeks ago.
Yeah.
105 kilos and I could max out a lat pull down, but I can't do 10 pull-ups.
So I think going back to the key variables of building muscle.
Yeah.
So let's kind of recap at this point, and then we'll go through some questions to finish off, because we won't make it a long one today because my voice is dying. I'm sorry for everyone coughing on you.
I think this is something you could talk about for 20 podcasts.
I might do a few. But maybe we'll go into the science a bit more in depth in the next one. But I guess, so the biggest variables that you need to consider is obviously rep ranges, but not being so hung up on them, but working in a variety of rep ranges. So working your strength curve, working a hypertrophy range, even if you're pushing to those, endurance reps, it's not a bad thing. It's time under tension. I think it's a good thing.
I do 30s.
Supersets, 30s. Giant sets, all of that can help as well. And then if you think about it, a giant set is more an endurance set, because you're doing up to 50, 100 reps in a giant set.
For short recovery.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love giant sets on upper body for girls. Because girls don't fatigue as quick as guys, and you can push in a lot more reps. I love giant sets on shoulders, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Back, I find not as great because your forearms blow out.
It's too powerful as well.
Too powerful, but shoulders, biceps, arms, amazing.
Arms are
chest,
awesome, yeah.
chest is awesome. I did shoulders the other day. I think it was 6 exercises, and I did between 10 and 15 reps on each. So if you think about it, that's 60 to 80 reps that you're doing for a set. Like, that's an endurance set. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to get skinny from that. Like, the point of that is still growth, which you need to understand. So, yeah.
There's where you could go into to take this even further is energy systems and recovery times. And that's probably super...
No, we'll save that for the next one.
Super science,
So obviously, rep ranges, intensity. So making sure you're training heavy enough, you're training hard enough, you're progressively overloading, you're taxing out your body, you're fatigued, you have DOMs.
Intensity through how hard you're training or through weight on the body?
Yeah, both. So both. So intensity in terms of training, because obviously you can still have intensity when you're doing hypertrophy work.
Of course.
So yes, and then actual technical intensity when it comes to resistance training actually usually means lower rep ranges and more weight. But you can say intensity in 2 terms. And that's where a lot of people get confused. The other one is eating enough food. So making sure you eat enough calories, simple as that.
That's 100%, you know. I think that training you can almost get away with being slightly lazy. But nutrition just calorically has to be 100%.
Yeah, I think you can get away with training if you're like being a bit lazy with training if you're eating enough, if you're okay with putting on a little bit of body fat in the process. But if you want to stay like relatively lean and put on a bit of muscle, which is hard, and we're going to talk about that, it's my next question, then I think it's more important to push yourself. What do you say some other variables that we have missed for people to focus on?
I would say writing things down and actually recording things. Like I think that's a big difference between you get the bros from years ago and they're like, I don't track anything. You know, and I got big, and it's like,
you probably could Yeah,
there's
people
so many
bigger
more,
earlier.
and you see so many people walking around the gyms with little books, or their phone, and they're writing in the phone. You know? So I'd say tracking and periodization. So actually, week to week, trying to progress. So progressive overload through periodization.
Yeah,
I would say Week 1, you did 8 reps on 50 kilos. You're going to try and progressively overload and either do 9 reps on 50 kilos or 52.5 kilos. You know, so every week you're trying to progress.
And you're either increasing like weight or reps, because the big difference is you don't need to increase reps and weight every single week. No. Focus on one variable at a time. Yeah.
We'll add in another set, you know. Also, one thing is when it comes back to, like, you know, girls that are like, I don't want to get too big and too bulky and blah, blah, blah. Don't do too much sarcoplasmic training then.
Yeah, or don't eat too much.
Yeah, it's hard to get big for a chick.
I probably ate too much.
Yeah, don't eat too much. I would say they're your main things.
And if you want to eat more, train harder. That's what I kind of used to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I like training, so I'm going to train harder, add more volume in so I can eat more food. But then in turn, I grew very quickly. So not a bad thing. But again, it's, as a girl, there comes to a point where, for not all girls, some girls love gains. But for me personally, it got to the point where I couldn't really fit in my clothes, all of that. And I was like, I've got expensive clothes and I don't fit. And again, it's not the end of the world, but I didn't like as much of feeling like traps and all those sort of areas were getting big. There was areas, but again, that comes back to the training type. If I had maybe trained hypertrophy whilst eating, which I haven't really done a full phase of off-season, just hypertrophy, eating calories without strength training. So it'd be interesting to see the change in physique doing that. Okay, so let's get back into some questions. So the biggest one, the age-old one, I actually had 3 people on my Instagram DMs, which I never check, so please don't ever Instagram DM me. But I didn't even know they go into a save folder. There was 3 messages in there this morning that I saw that said, can you build muscle and drop fat at once?
My DEXA actually would say yes. The other day,
is not 100%.
But I wouldn't even say that. I would say
it's not the goal.
No, mine is going to be different because it's muscle memory, and I think my last DEXA I just depleted quite a lot because we're trying to just shift some fat off me nice and quickly.
Okay, let's keep it simple.
Yep.
So.
Can you build muscle?
No.
I don't think so.
Not a lot, anyway.
No, if you can, it's because it'll be very short-lived. In your first year as a newbie, maybe, and I would say probably.
I think for quite overweight clients who have just started in the gym, it does happen where they'll drop fat and just simply from moving more, and they will put on a little bit of muscle.
And I think that's more muscle efficiency as well. You know, like your muscles just start working better. So you might think because you're getting stronger, you're gaining muscle, when in fact you're just getting more neurologically adapted.
I honestly have only ever seen it in overweight clients and newbies.
Yeah.
You do not see it in skinny girls, and it's usually skinny girls that ask me because they usually are like lean and they're like, oh, I think I can just put on muscle. It's like, sorry, you're going to actually probably have to gain a little bit of body fat.
Another thing is, depends if it's a biosig. Doing your
please don't ever get a biosig done.
Doing your pinches. Oh, I lost 5% and gained 5 kilos of muscle this week.
No, you didn't.
So yeah, but no, I don't. I think I'll just say, I'm not saying you can't. I just think it's very hard. There are freaks of nature. Like there's, I mean, I know they're all on steroids, but there's Kevin Levrone. You can't argue that dude. He's a freak of nature. He will probably but I don't think there's many. So I think because there's
not many females
I think
as well.
I think there's probably even fewer. I think because there's so few people that can do it, just assume you can't.
Yeah.
That's why phases of training are very important. You know, you've got massing phases. Doesn't mean get fat phase. That's why I don't like the term bulking.
No, I hate it.
And you've got dieting, cutting phases.
I call it growing phase.
Yeah, growing and cutting and dieting. And yeah, I think you can just add very minimal fat whilst you're adding the muscle.
And I think it depends how patient you're going to want to be with muscle growth, because a lot of girls will come to me and say, oh, I want a big booty, but I want to stay lean and I want to have a small waist. And I'm like, that's cool. Everyone wants that. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And you have to be straight up with them. It's such a big muscle to grow, and you need food to grow your ass. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'll give them two options. This is what I usually say to a girl. So she comes to me and says, I want bigger booty, bigger shoulders, I want to keep my waist small, and I want to stay lean. First up, obviously, I'm going to say that ain't going to happen, but I'll give them two options. I'll say, look, we can do this slow and steady over the course of, say, a year, 2 years, where we're trying to add some mass to that ass and do all these things, and you won't gain a lot of fat, but we're going to do it very slowly and very steadily. Or we can go aggressive, and we can have you training maybe a little bit more, eating more than what you were before, bumping your calories up. You're probably going to gain a little bit of fat with it, but we can probably get some more decent mass on you in the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah. So that's their options. And for most people, they'll usually go, girls will usually go, I'll do the slow and steady one because I don't want to get fat. And boys will usually do the first one.
Yeah, we're just going to fuck it.
Yeah. So guys, you got to embrace that, like, who cares if you put on 1-2% body fat? The biggest thing is monitoring it. So if you are in a growing stage, still take progress photos, still take measurements, because you can get a bit YOLO as well. Like, you don't want to get to the point where you're gaining so much fat that your muscle growth isn't optimal as well.
You can't grow muscle that fast. So you hear people that are like, oh, I'm putting on a kilo a week, and it's like,
that's fat.
Fucking way too fast.
You might have 100 grams of muscle in their max, and you've got
max.
900 grams of fat.
Exactly, like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. So it's patience, and but if you are going to try and keep us close to gaining muscle and keeping fat, like you've got to be pretty fucking dedicated.
Yeah, very specific with your macronutrients, very specific with your training.
Yeah, and that is where nutrient timing can come in.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people think as well that when you're trying to grow, you don't have to be as spot on with your macros, and that's fine if you're okay putting on fat, or that's fine if you're not as fussed about gains, because you might be under eating. I find that's what happens with a lot of guys. If they don't track, they're actually severely under eating.
I would say 90%.
Yeah,
they're not eating enough. And I think that's where it comes back to when you pick your coach. In my opinion, someone who look at their clients, don't look at the coach.
Yeah.
Look at the clients that they've worked with before, and whether their clients are actually getting results.
Yeah, you don't always want to look at the coach, because we've got a friend who's one of Sean's clients actually, and he's a pretty damn good coach. And he's skinny as fuck, but for him, he's actually put on a fair bit of muscle, but you'd look at him and probably think, oh, he's still skinny. You know what I mean? But that's because he's still on his journey himself. He's still young. So that's a big thing to remember. And you don't want to just hire a coach because she's some fitness model with 1 million followers on Instagram, okay? Thinking that her coach is going to do the same thing for you, okay? So be careful with who you hire and focus on their clients, multiple clients' journeys, not just one client, because they could have had one client and they'll rinse and repeat that method and it won't work for everyone. So that's a big one as well.
Especially seeing as I only have 530 Instagram followers.
Exactly. So, like, but the funny thing is, like, Sean gets coached by me. Sean does his own training. So he definitely does his training for his comp prep. And he did his macros in his whole off seasons, all of that. The only time he's ever used me is being in a caloric deficit coming into a show. I use coaches, we all use coaches, but we've also coached ourselves before. It's just more handing over the accountability reins and taking the pressure off when we're both actually prepping clients. So Sean's prepping clients for a show at the moment, so am I. So we both have our own coaches so that we don't then overanalyze what we're doing for ourselves. And I think that's a really good idea. But the point I'm trying to get back to here is, like, you wouldn't look at me and be like, a lot of people are like, oh, you're getting Alice to prep Sean. Like, she's a girl and she's not a bodybuilder. She's a bikini athlete. Why would you get a bikini athlete to coach you? It doesn't fucking matter, okay? It'd be like, there's so many bodybuilders that coach bikini chicks and no one bats an eyelid.
Yep.
But if it's the other way around, yet I've had a client who's been, you know, men's physique pro, top 2 in the world, all of this.
And look at your credentials.
Exactly. Look at the credentials, look at who they've worked with. So that's a big one. All right, let's get back into some more questions. So we've covered the best rep ranges for muscle growth. Okay, best training splits. Big question, but big question.
Probably the most controversial one.
Yeah.
Because this comes down to the coaches. Yeah. This will probably come down to the coach's personal opinion and their own journey a little bit. I personally, I mean, we all started on bro splits, everything trained once a week. So chest day, back day, arm day, shoulder day, leg day, if they're lucky enough to have been ballsy enough to train legs at least once a week, which a lot of people aren't. Then I did get decent gains from them, but then I needed to progress and I needed to train some more fucking legs because I was pretty much living in trousers a lot and no shorts. My own personal opinion comes back to training myofibrillar and sarcoplasmic. So I like the combination of heavy based days and the moderate lighter based days. So I use a lot of fat
Thank you, Lane Norton.
Yeah, Lane Norton. Well, he popularized it.
Yeah.
Fat style training. So it
doesn't have to be that specific. But
no, I mean I
adapt it.
I've adapted it myself as well. So it doesn't mean basically fat is 2 days of heavy, 3 days of hypertrophy.
How hypertrophy adaptive training?
Yeah, something like that. But I like 2 or 3 days heavy. It depends. This is where you can play around with it, and I think a lot of people don't realise that.
I like 2 heavy, 2 hypertrophy.
Yeah, which is full power hypertrophy, upper lower.
I find 5's a bit much sometimes for newbies, especially.
I use full with a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Because then it's 4 days, and I find you because you're not used to the heavy stuff, you get sore a lot on those days. Guys, yeah, I put 3 hypertrophy and 2 of the heavy stuff normally, but I know that if you're someone that's new to the heavy stuff and you want to you want to do your squat, your bench, your deadlifts on different days, then you can do 3 heavy days. But you can also manipulate those heavy days where it's more of a power bodybuilding day.
Yeah.
So your first exercise of that
might be a shoulder press.
Dominant heavy day is heavy, and then you go into your hypertrophy stuff. So my own personal best ever training split that I get the most results with my client is a combo of the heavy stuff and the light stuff, whether it's 4 days or 5 days. I would say I don't do many 3 days anymore. It all comes down to your schedule and stuff like that. But yeah, if you can fit 4 or 5 days in,
lifestyle, I do 3 days. But they're a lifestyle, say fatless client, can't get to the gym.
Yeah,
their goal isn't gains.
Mostly fat loss. So yeah, I'd say a combination of 2 to 3 heavy days, 2 to 3 hypertrophy days.
Hypertrophy.
Yeah, and the reason being is because you're trying to manipulate, because we're natural, we have to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. If you take a shitload of steroids, you're constantly in muscle protein synthesis.
Yeah.
If you're natural, you have to stimulate it, which is through weight training, and it takes about 72 hours to it takes about 72 hours for you to then reset my muscle protein synthesis. So you can hit things twice a week. Hence why you do it once heavy, once hypertrophy.
Heavy.
So it's twice a week.
I just like saying hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy. That's how Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell says
Go and Google it.
You gotta do more hypertrophy.
YouTube it. Yeah, Westside Barbell would have different theories on this.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess for me, I'm pretty similar to Sean. I really love a mix of heavy and hypertrophy. That's going to really annoy people listening out there. They'll be like, you guys are stupid. But, yeah, so, but then again, I also have worked with clients where I've done phases of the two. So I might do a block of more hypertrophy focused and then a block of more strength training focused. Yeah. If, say, I've got a year where we're trying to put on gains. Yeah. Or where the client wants to have some gains but also improve their strength training. So, yeah, the optimal, say you had a short period of time, I definitely do the first of what Sean said. If you had a short period of time with a client, you're trying to optimize gains, do a mix of the two, split it into either like a 2 or 3 days, like Sean said, heavy. I find girls can train with a bit more volume, so probably a 5-day split for a girl if she's really wanting to put on some quick gains. Guys, 4 to 5. Guys don't tend to recover as well as girls scientifically. No. Sean thinks it's because we don't train as hard.
Come train with me.
And then I did some research and I was like, no, here's the science, okay? It's actually true. So definitely. Now, let's go. Oh, the other thing, when it comes to training splits, is you need to make sure that training split is specific with where you want to get big. So, for example, for me, I used to deadlift twice a week, squat twice a week, all these sort of very trap dominant movements as well. I started getting big in the wrong places. So I started getting big in my traps, started getting big, thick through my lower back, all of these sort of areas I didn't really want to grow. So focus on your training split, and a good coach will do this around where you want to grow. So for my girls, most girls that come to me, 90% of them want glutes, hammies, shoulders, okay? So why would I program them squatting 4 times a week or 3 times a week or doing all this? So
bench pressing.
Exactly. It's just like bench is a great move because it's a good compound, so it's going to help with overall growth, and I'll throw that in for a lot of girls if they want bigger shoulders anyway. Because it's functional, it helps with that, helps with tricep strength, all of that. So, but that's what you need to understand. I wouldn't be giving them 6 chest exercises though. I give them a bench and then maybe 1 accessory move, and then we'd move on to shoulders or whatever it is that day or back. So focus on where you want to get big and hitting that with more frequency. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even though, like for me, for example, I fucking hate training. I hate training arms.
So do I. Fucking boring.
It's just so boring, and it's not something that you do when I was powerlifting. It's more of an accessory. It's like, I'll just chuck some arms in on the end, like most people do with carbs. But now I've got shit arms, so I've got okay legs, so I could probably take one of those leg days out.
Yeah, that's what we just discussed for Sean's prep.
And stick an arm day in, my beloved leg days.
Yeah.
So.
And for a lot of girls, I find that they do the opposite. They'll do too much legs, and then their symmetry's really out. So a lot of girls think that if they train their legs more, they will get smaller if they've got these big legs. It's the complete opposite. So if you want to put mass on, train your legs more. If you don't want to put mass on, say you just want to grow your glutes, and do more glute specific stuff. Don't just squat and expect your legs to get smaller but your butt to get bigger, because that's not going to happen. Spot reduction is a myth. Yeah. So, all right, we've only got time because we have literally gone over an hour, and I don't want to keep this too long, but maybe we'll keep, if you guys want it, email me at alice@aliceround.com if you want us to do another episode, or comment below on the Instagram post that I do, Facebook.
Or anything more specific.
If you don't want to hear any more from Sean, then please tell me and I'll never have him on again.
I bored you.
All right, so 2 last ones. Okay. What advice, I'm going to go to my last questions, would you give to a newbie? We kind of covered that with some of the first stuff we said. So we obviously said volume, intensity, food is the big one.
Food. Any
other big tips, newbies? Just food, just eat to grow.
If you're someone, if you really want to get big, then you have to eat, and I don't know, I think that's the main thing is people, I think I must have just been blessed with the ability to eat a lot of food.
And I also think that people think they're stuck with certain calories. Like people go, like guys and girls, I hear this, girls go, I can never eat more than 2,000 calories. And guys say, I can never eat more than 3,000 calories. Yeah. Why not?
Why? Blend it.
Yeah. And especially if they're, say, hungry and they're scared of eating more. It's like, that's a good thing. Eat more.
Yeah, exactly, what do I eat? Blend up my chicken shake. Get that in you.
Or they're maybe not training hard enough to stimulate their metabolism.
Add in another day. Add in cardio. Cardio makes me fucking starving, but very low intensity and not too much of it.
Short, quick walk in the morning.
Yeah, and make sure you're eating more calories than you've just burnt off in that cardio session.
Yeah, and obviously don't prioritise cardio over weight training.
No.
Like, the goal here is that.
Yeah, and I would say, so eat enough, and I would say work with a coach that really knows what he's doing, and write shit down.
Yeah, invest in a coach. Save up some money, even if you're a Povo uni student like we were back in the day. Yeah. I saved my pennies, and I would rather invest in a coach than going out binge drinking on the weekend.
Yeah, drop your protein, your mobile phone plan down one level for a couple of months, and use that money for a PT session and a program.
Yeah, even if you just commit to a 12-week block or something with someone. Like, that'd be a great place to get started, and then from there you could decide whether you want to go it alone or they just write your programs to keep going. There's so many options, but I think that people going and Googling things on the internet is where they get really confused.
But you'll get what you pay for as well.
Exactly.
So don't look for the cheapest personal trainer, or coach. Look for someone that knows what they're doing, and save enough money until you can afford them.
Exactly. That's a big one. But don't pay someone that's also ridiculously...
Unless they're 20 grand.
You don't hear from them.
Don't know what the fuck they're doing.
We won't get into that for now. We'll have to do another episode on that. But, okay, so they're the big tips for newbies. So making sure... I think another big one that we missed is consistency. You can't be inconsistent. You have to be day in, day out. Obviously not every single day, but very consistent. You can't expect... And not be impatient with the results. So to not be impatient if you don't see something physically for a couple of months or whatever, because gains are very hard to see. And we're talking half a kilo of muscle all over. Like, you're not going to visibly see that gain in the mirror overnight. So be patient and be consistent are probably my biggest tips, because this is why, and I'm not a massive fan of clients, especially newbies. I have nothing wrong with steroid use if you do it right, if you're doing it at the right time in your life. But when I see 18-year-olds coming into the gym and they've been training for 2 months and they're like, oh, it's not working, I'm going to go on steroids. Nice. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, I can flat out say that. Because it's like, you haven't even allowed your body to have newbie gains. Now you jump on gear and stuff up your hormones. Yeah. What's going to happen when you're 25, 30 and you even think about having children? Like, they don't care because they're 18 and they're like, oh, gains. And they're like, they're not thinking about that.
Eat more fucking food and train harder.
Stop being lazy.
Stop doing so much cardio. If you're playing AFL 4 times a week, then you're running a shitload. So
eat some food.
Eat some more food, yeah.
Train heavier.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you give to people when they plateau from gains?
I think when you plateau is when it is time for a reevaluation. That's where you've got to write down everything we just said. So how many calories am I on? What macros are those calories comprised of? How many days a week am I training? Can I really train hard? Most people, when they say, oh, I've plateaued, and then I see them training, it's because they're fucking lazy. And some people, I can even guess what they're about to do in the gym. They'll come in and it's like, it's chest day for them. I bet you're going to do bench press, then incline dumbbells, then
flies.
A pec fly. And then a cable fly, and then you're done. It's
might do a rear delt.
Yeah, you've got to do something completely different, Or it could be like we said before, you're just training in that same rep range. You're doing too much cycloplasmic. Okay, well, let's get on to more neurological adaptations. Let's get you into the lower rep ranges. Or it could be the opposite. You're in the lower rep ranges, you need to go in the higher rep ranges. That comes down to recording. And probably you need to eat more. Half the time a plateau means your body just doesn't have the calories to go to another place. So
another one can be overtraining.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're overtraining and you're not looking after recovery variables, so you're not getting enough sleep is a big one. Sleep, water, nutrients, not just macros, but actual nutrients. If you're eating if you're eating shit foods and you're not getting good spread of, amino acids and all these different things that help you grow. Yeah. Then that's going to be a big one as well for plateaus.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really gone into supplementation or anything because I just think it's under researched, and in my opinion, it's oversold. Yeah. There's so many supplements you just don't need. If you look at my supplement stack for what I use when I'm training, it's just nothing. Some creatine, some branch chains because I'm dieting. You don't need branch chains when you're gaining. Protein powder.
That's not really supplements, food.
That's really it.
Yeah.
Glutamine to stop me getting sick. Some acetyl carnitine because I'm dieting. So for gains wise, no, it's literally creatine. So,
I'm dying.
She's dying, so she's running away. But yeah, I think it's just reevaluate your food, reevaluate your training. If you are overtraining, then maybe you need a deload. I think that's the thing that a lot of people overlook is deload weeks. I'm a big fan of deload weeks. I just think they can make your joints nice and healed, and your body, all the inflammation can drop down, and you might need to drop down one day. You might be doing 6-7 days a week, one of these douches that's like, oh, no days off.
Or you can cycle that. So I'll have clients where I might have them on a 5-day or 6-day split, quite big and intense for 7-8 weeks. Then we might have a deload, pull it back to 4 days, but then maybe doing more volume on those days. You can vary it around. It doesn't need to always be like 6 days all year round, blah, blah, blah. That's how you burn out.
I think that's pretty good. I think that's...
Covered it.
Yeah.
Sorry for me dying today, guys. I'm really sorry for all the coughing and sneezing going on. I did try to leave the room for most of it.
Gross.
We got through it. I'm losing my voice. So, Sean, give us how do we get in contact with you?
I don't like through...
Don't slide in his DM.
Yeah.
I'll cut you.
Yeah, don't. I do have a few, but it's mainly from creepy Arabs and stuff. I would say email, please, is my best one, and that's info@mclaneytrained.com. My preference is not through Facebook. Plus, it goes into that other inbox.
Yeah, you miss a lot of things with DMs. There's private DMs and different ones, indirect, direct.
If you do DM me or PM me, I'm just going to tell you to email me. So go through my email, info@mclaneytrained.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
That's the best method of contact. So Sean PT, so he's taking on personal training clients down at Revo Fitness Scarborough. He does not do 6 a.m. sessions, so please don't ask.
I don't do 8 a.m. sessions.
Sean mainly has clients later morning and evening and Saturday. So if there are times that you can train, then definitely email him. He can do training programs for you to supplement your PT sessions, which is obviously what we recommend. That's going to be your best value for money and bang for buck.
Something I'm really enjoying is working more on the training and nutrition programming and periodization with, like, say, one a week or one every 2 weeks, a hands-on session to get your technique right and to make sure you're training to the right intensity. Yeah,
it's definitely my favourite thing. Like, a lot of my clients will come in for a session even once a month, my online girls. Yeah. And I love that. We'll just do some deadlifts and squats and your compounds and go through it. And we've got some flexible options at Revo anyway where we both work from. But yeah, I mean, we would love to do some more seminars as well. So if there's any stuff that you guys enjoyed, thank you to anyone that also came to our comp prep seminar. We haven't really done a podcast since then. So thank you. I have had podcasts up, but not with Sean. But yeah, guys, we are over the hour mark, so I don't want to keep you too much longer.
We're going to do a short one today.
Yeah, I know. Well, that will just rest your throat. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Again, if you need to get in contact with me, all of the details are down below in the text on the podcast anyway, so you know who I am. You know how to get in contact with me. Very straightforward, aliceround.com. You can jump on my services tab on my website, send through an inquiry through there, or a direct email, but obviously going through the website is a bit more specific because I know what you're inquiring about. But they are the options. So thank you for tuning in. Be sure to stay up to date on Sean's social media, which he never posts on Instagram.
Yeah. I should probably do one soon.
Yeah, you probably should.
I think it's Mclaney Trained.
At Mclaney Trained. He's now, 9 weeks out this weekend? 8 weeks out. I'm 11 weeks out. So please keep following along, and
I'll post something soon.
He'll post something soon. Thanks, Sean.
A nude. I'll put a nude up.
Well, you can probably put this podcast up.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be handy. Maybe something else informative
with
a
nude.
Yeah, no nudes. No nudes, thank you. All right, guys, we are out. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode, and we will chat to you soon.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Breakthrough the Bullshit. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would love it if you could leave a review on iTunes. Let me know, comment what you'd love to see more of, and be sure you've also subscribed on YouTube and iTunes for updates. And if you'd like more info, then you can also add the Team Round Support Facebook page, which is available to access for all of you, and you just simply need to search for it on Facebook.